How many of you?
11. 13.
13. They're all alive. 13! Brilliant!
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're looking at the untold true story behind the Tham Luang cave rescue. Located on the border of Thailand and Myanmar is a mountain range called the Doi Nang Non, and underneath this mountain range is the setting of this amazing tale, the Tham Luang Nang Non cave system. On Saturday, June 23, 2018, a soccer team consisting of a dozen boys and their assistant coach entered the cave complex. They had recently completed a practice and hoped to have some fun by exploring the cave system. Instead, it turned into a waking nightmare that prompted an enormous international reaction and more than one death.
They went missing after match practice. They'd explored this particular cave before, but were apparently trapped by a sudden monsoon flood.
The group had only planned to spend an hour or so inside the system, but they quickly noticed that the cave was filling with water. The team had entered the cave during peak flooding season and were now trapped by the rapidly rising water.
And not just at the entrance. The intensified rainwater is pouring into a deep underground stream north of the cave, causing water to flow furiously down the northern passage, trapping the boys somewhere within the subterranean maze.
Head coach Noparat Kanthawang realized that something was wrong when he received numerous phone calls from anxious parents who inquired about the location of their kids. He tried phoning various members of the team, but couldn't get a hold of any of them. He finally managed to talk to Songpan Kanthawang, a young member of the team who had split with the other boys and had gone home after practice. He told Coach Kanthawang that everyone else had decided to explore the caves, so the coach went to check it out. At the entrance, Kanthawang quickly identified bikes and backpacks at the cave's entrance and deduced that his team was stuck inside the cave. He contacted the authorities, and the rescue was officially on.
Officials are on the scene, and realizing the boys may be in mortal danger, some parents enter the cave.
An enormous search for the boys commenced, consisting of professional divers and cave divers, the British Cave Rescue Council, Thai Navy SEALs, and a United Air Force team, just to name a few.
Rescue teams drilling holes using ultrasonic sensors, dropping maps and care packages through small crevices in the hopes that the team was alive.
While they searched for possible exits outside the cave, the boys looked around inside. Unfortunately, they were facing some harsh conditions, and this made searching particularly difficult.
What stands between the boys and the daylight they haven't seen in 2 weeks is about 1.5 miles underground obstacle course of rocky chambers, half-flooded canals, and fully submerged sections.
They had little food, it was dark and dank, and they were forced to drink the clean water that trickled down the cave walls. Some even began to faint from the lack of nourishment.
It could take up to 4 months to free them. They may even have to teach them to dive.
The water levels are rising fast, and options are running out to get the boys out alive.
They remained inside the dark cave for 9 days before finally getting word from the outside world. On July 2nd, British divers Rick Stanton and John Valenthin found and made contact with the team, and they reassuringly told them that help was on the way.
We are coming. It's okay. It's okay. Many people are coming. Many people. We are the first. Many people come.
The boys had found solace on top of a dry and elevated rock shelf. Funnily enough, John Valenthin later told BBC Points West that he could smell the boys as he approached. And it was then that he knew he was getting close.
In this case, we smelt the children before we actually saw or heard them.
With their location finally known, an extensive rescue plan was put into place. Countries from all across the world offered their support, while local volunteers provided food and necessities to the rescue teams. However, there were countless logistical challenges that needed to be solved. About 1 billion liters of water had to be removed from the cave complex using a makeshift diversion dam. The path to the boys was extraordinarily difficult to traverse. It was extremely narrow, had strong currents, and low visibility.
The mission could not be more dangerous. The boys and their coach are 1 kilometre below the surface and 2.4 kilometres inside the notoriously treacherous cave.
The hardest thing is just trying to portray in words, without physically being in the environment, like what some of these guys were up against.
To make matters even worse, the boys were rapidly running out of oxygen. Oxygen levels inside the cave were measured at just 15%, which is well below the amount needed for survival.
You are very strong. Very strong.
A few options for rescue were briefly considered. Some wanted to keep the boys inside the cave until monsoon season was over, so the water wouldn't be an issue. In the meantime, divers would continuously ensure they had food and water. Others even suggested teaching the children how to dive themselves, but this seemed wildly impractical.
They spent about 9 days without any food at all. After 4 or 5 days, the body basically starts to metabolize its own tissues, so the muscles start to waste away.
In the end, it was decided that the boys needed to be taken out as soon as possible. So, a team of 90 divers was sent in to rescue them.
We were not scared. We knew that people would try to help us, and we try to support each other when we were in there.
But as we mentioned previously, this was an extraordinarily difficult operation. On the night of July 5th, a diver named Saman Kunan was preparing for the rescue operation when he lost consciousness after swimming underwater.
His dive partner finding him unconscious in the water during the 1-mile swim from where the boys are stranded back to the operation base in Cave 3.
His partner attempted to revive him with CPR, but was unsuccessful, and Kunan was officially pronounced dead early the following morning.
Now, he'd been placing air tanks along a potential exit route in the network of the caves. A huge international operation has been underway for weeks with dozens of Thai Navy SEALs and international experts on site.
He would be one of 2 deaths that resulted from the rescue operation. In December of 2019, a Thai Navy SEAL named Beirut Pakpara passed away from a blood infection that he had contracted during the mission. The rescue itself began on July 8th. Divers traversed through the flooded section of the cave and provided the boys with the necessary materials. To prepare for the long dive ahead, they were each given a wetsuit and a face mask that allowed them to breathe underwater.
There's a lot of risk associated in a rescue like this because there's no immediate ascent to the surface if you have a problem. You've got the overhead, you've got the zero visibility, and then you've got to follow a guideline, and you've got kids that are not even swimmers.
Divers also feared that the children would panic in the dark and narrow passageways, so everyone was given shots of ketamine and knocked out. They were then matched to a professional diver who held onto them and took them through the flooded area, which included a dry section where their dive gear was taken off and they were moved using drag stretchers.
With each rescue expected to take up to 10 hours, doctors make the decision to take the weakest boys out first.
They're the ones who need immediate medical attention. They need rehydration, they need renourishment, they need warmth.
Once they safely reached the divers' base of operations, they were put on another type of stretcher and taken out of the cave entrance using either sheer manpower or a complex pulley system. This entire process took about 8 hours, with the dive itself taking up to 3 hours and the stretcher portion taking 3 to 5, depending on the conditions.
After several return trips and one diver losing his life, the 12 boys and their coach were finally rescued from the cave.
It took 3 days to complete the rescue operation.
Great to have found them, but it was no means any way certain what the outcome would be.
On the first day, July 8th, 4 of the 13 stranded victims were rescued. 4 more were taken the next day, and on July 10th, the 4 remaining boys and the assistant coach were rescued. Amazingly, all the boys were in good health, and everyone made full recoveries.
We're also hearing today that it was just in the nick of time because we knew there were rising waters because of monsoon rains. And it's now being said that if they hadn't got the last of the boys and their coach out yesterday, then today the water levels might well have been too high.
The operation was universally praised and considered a monumental success.
They are record breakers. They are real pioneers. And when people say more people have been to the moon than in some of these places, yeah. More people have been to the moon.
Numerous awards, accolades, and commendations were handed out, honoring the bravery and ingenuity of the operation. And those involved were invited to meet UK Prime Minister Theresa May at 10 Downing Street. However, some reputations were left a little stained. Public opinion was firmly divided on assistant coach Ekapon Chantawang, who was with the boys when they ventured into the cave. According to his critics, Chantawang acted negligently by ignoring the posted warning signs and entering a cave system so close to monsoon season. Some went beyond public criticism and demanded that criminal charges be handed down.
But those rumors were quickly dispelled.
Most people believe that he's a good guy and taking care of those 12 children inside the cave.
Parents say he was someone they trusted, some even hailing him a hero.
However, various experts insisted that the accident was nobody's fault, And Chantawong's heroic efforts inside the cave turned much of the public's opinion. He was eventually deemed a hero for his efforts, which included keeping the boys calm, helping them find clean water, and even offering them his food rations.
Their coach had helped keep their spirits up during their ordeal in their tiny refuge, less than half the size of a tennis court. Coach Ake, as they call him, was sat at the back. He'd been a Buddhist monk in his youth and taught them to meditate to pass the time.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Since the operation ended, it was announced that the Tham Luang Nan Non cave would be transformed into an interactive museum meant to highlight the incredible complexity that went into the rescue. Of course, scrupulous safety measures were installed before the museum opened, lest history repeat itself. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.